today we are going to be talking about your digital footprint. So I do see that some of you, of course, have your websites, maybe Instagram or other social media presence. So that's going to be really helpful to think about today as we go through this exercise. My name is Valentine Shvihalik. I am the founder and director of Art Connect Society. We are an international organization for artists. Currently, our largest project is the Safe Spaces Project, and we are really focused on supporting women in the arts, and particularly this project is doing that in communities around the world. We are moving our exhibitions around at the moment, so feel free, if that's something that connects with you, to join us and have a look at what we're up to. So today, we are going to be talking about your footprint, what that means, how it relates to your goals, which I'm kind of harping on a lot and repeating myself with respect to your goals, but for good reason, because we can be passive or we can be active. And so it's really important to always bear that in mind. Maybe at some points it will serve you well, but to be not just passive, but also active when it comes to this. So who is your audience and why? Why is really important. The critical points, how am I already sharing my work? Which platforms best support your vision? So whether that is a social media platform, whether that is a website, how are you connecting with people who can support you, right? The amplifiers, those who are there to help you to broadcast, for lack of a better term at the moment, but to amplify your message, okay? How can you tailor your content to be more effective, right? And that's a little bit that active versus passive component. So you have a footprint. And actually, I'll go to this next slide. So the traces of you, that's your footprint, right? How are you showing up? If someone wants to work with you, if someone connects with you in person and they have a little look, so they look up your name, for example, what is going to be out there in terms of your traces? Is that active or passive? So are you having a website that comes up? Do you have a social media presence? And how are you sharing there? Can they see progress? And what that means is over time, we evolve, right? Or at least we hope we do. Because if we're not evolving, then something's not going well. So, and this is actually an interesting question that I received today about that progress. Is it good to show the evolution of my work? And to what degree, right? How far back? And wouldn't it be best to only show my best work? Well, then people can't really see that growth and movement, right? If we show that we are growing and evolving, we can also see where we're going. But again, this all comes back down to your specific goals, right? Looking back at what you would like to attain, that will answer that question for you. So my job today, as I see it, is really to provide you with a lot of questions, right? And some practical framework to help support your own investigation, to help you reach your goals. So in terms of those traces, we're talking about progress, we're talking about quality of the work, high quality, whether that's images, whether that's the content itself, the messaging, consistency. Are you someone who's showing up consistently? And can people see that? Right? It matters. It makes a difference in terms of, do people want to work with you on a specific topic or project or not, right? The authenticity, is it, if it's a clear voice, right? So that's kind of that next point, but if it's a clear voice, then it tends to be more authentic, right? If it's a little bit messy and the way that you're showing up is really different and telling different stories, it might not be tapping into your authentic voice, right? What you are really creating and how you want that to show up in the world. If you are authentic, if you are showing up with your particular stream in mind, and that doesn't mean that it can't change, right? We change, we evolve. So that might be true in some moment, and then it might have an offshoot, it might change, evolve. That's absolutely okay. Maybe you're involved in different types of media. That's all fine. But the authenticity, when it's authentic, it's clear, right? The voice is clear. Plan for success. I encourage you to have one. So what is your vision? We talked last time, I asked you to come up and go ahead and look for a couple of opportunities, maybe 2 specific opportunities or goals that you have for yourself. If you're not sure which opportunities, then maybe focus on the goals themselves, right? So where is it that you see your work living? One of you was really great in this and did the searching within yourself, excuse me, and you found a perfect place for your artwork to live and you went ahead and did that. And that's amazing. I'm so happy to hear that. So if your goals are specific, if you have a timeline for them and you know what action steps you're going to be taking, then it's going to be much easier for you to accomplish those goals, right? So not just I want to be seen in the world, but I want to be here in this type of space. Okay, a psychologist's office. I'm stealing your work there, Blanca, but I want to be in a psychology practice. And, that fits really neatly with what I'm doing. Great. So which area, which neighborhood would be interesting for you? Or do you have a connection there? So it's kind of hammering down the specifics of the where will help you to define that timeline as well, right? Okay, well, I do have connections in this network, so maybe I'm going to ask around, or, oh, I know this doctor, I'm going to ask her for a recommendation. So you can kind of start to get more specific and take this in and apply it to whatever your specific content is, of course. But set yourself a timeline, right? Give yourself, okay, next week I'm going to do this, and by this time I'm going to have that. Be clear and specific in order to be active in your success rather than passive. So I know last time as well, Jason, you were talking a bit about putting out, how much do I have to how many applications do I need to put out in order to get a return? There is no magic formula. However, depending on your goal, your level of commitment, the money or funds behind you, right? The time, the resources, you're going to be able to channel that into a more effective strategy. Of course, working on your package and cultivating like a really clear footprint is going to support you getting those opportunities because you're leaving a trail of breadcrumbs, right? That says, this is me. And obviously, if that connects with the goal, it's going to make a lot of sense, right? Who is the audience? So when you think about your footprint, you want to imagine yourself, put yourself in their shoes. If you want to work with a gallerist, be the gallerist. Imagine yourself, where am I looking for people? Well, a lot of people might be searching. You might find a gallerist looking in a local area. I've heard this, that someone was looking for an artist in San Francisco. So they check the hashtag of that specific location. I know sometimes people put hashtags somewhere far away or location geotags somewhere far away, but actually it depends on, again, your goal. But if you're looking for connection in your local community, of course, it's advantageous to use your location, right? Because then when a gallerist is looking, they're going to come across your work, and then it comes down to that footprint, right? So putting yourself in their path, so to speak, right? So based on your goals, talking to who do you want to be talking to and who do you want to be connecting with? So if you have an Instagram, who are you speaking to? Is it purely for yourself? Is it an outlet where you post things kind of like a record of what you are doing and growth? Is it for yourself? And if so, that's great. But if your goal is to attract a gallerist, what do you think they want to see? Right? What would be interesting for them? Well, certainly cropped images of your work that show only the work, in situ, showing the space around how it will look in a particular location, right? If a gallerist is choosing your work, they want to also see people interacting with the work, right? What does it look like when people are around the work? How does it fit into the space? So those are just some of the angles that, right, we want to use to attract our specific audience. So you want to put yourself in their shoes and imagine what information would they need. Sizing, right? If you don't post, if you don't write the title of your image, the sizing, it's very hard for them. What should they do? Make a screenshot of it and say this one, right? We want to make it really easy for people to work with us. So if you want to work with a gallery, every time you should be having these multiple, or I should say, a multitude of images, right, in different types of situations, labeled, clear to find any information about you, right? Make it as easy as possible. Maybe you're looking for a network of other artists. Maybe you're looking for inspiration, people to connect with you so that you can talk about the work, so you can kind of dive deeper. If you're looking to gain confidence, then joining some kind of circle where other artists are, that's going to be really helpful for you in that process, right? So making yourself, reaching out. If you see someone and they're doing something that you like or that you find interesting, write them, right? Nothing, if they don't want to talk to you, they won't. And if they are ready to connect, if they have that space in their life, and it doesn't have to be anything negative or bad, it's just that sometimes people have the time and you hit them in the right moment and sometimes not. And that's okay. Or maybe you feel a vibe, but they don't. It's all fine. It's important that you take those steps, that you put yourself out there. And the more you do that, the more you start to cultivate those links and connections, right? So what are your tracks saying? Okay. If you Google yourself and you have a look at it, try to be as objective as you can. If you look at your Instagram and you just kind of take a screenshot of what shows first, and you look at that in isolation and you say, okay, I'm new, I'm coming to this page, and this is what I see right off the bat, right? The first 3 images and whatever you have there in your bio, what is that message saying? If you have a website, just the first moment that people land on your site, what is that first impulse? What message am I sending? Is it the message that I want to be sending, or do people have to dig through in order to get that message, right? I know right now we're doing a big restructuring with the Safe Spaces project to ensure that our message is clear. And that happens, right? You are constantly evolving and shifting and changing. So whether it's your organization, whether it's your own practice, it's reasonable to say, okay, I have some short-term goals. Once I have reached those, I'm going to recalibrate, because I thought based on my long-term goal that I was going to do this and then this, but actually now that I've done this, I want to do this, 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 and that'll get me there. So you constantly want to be organizing, checking and resetting those goals, right? Going back, starting over, but not over, but kind of on the track, right? Clarifying your goal and the path to get there. So in doing that, you will find amplifiers, right? Who is going to help me get my message out? Is it a group of people? Is it an organization? Is it a particular gallerist? Who can help me? If I want to get to this gallerist over here, but I don't know how to get in front of her, I can try directly contacting them, but I can also look, they're going to be curating this open call over here. That's interesting. Maybe I get myself in front of them by applying to that open call. So it's being really specific about where you want to be and kind of, let's say, creating that path for yourself, right? So we're going to have a little bit of time for you to look at your footprint, to either take that little snapshot from whatever the landing page is of your Instagram, your Facebook, your website, whatever is most important to you. Maybe it's even having a look at what comes up when you Google yourself, right? What are those footprints that are there? Some are going to be our own creation. Some might be other people writing about us, other people sharing about us. And how can we make that work for us? How can we kind of channel that energy that already exists into something that is going to be more meaningful? Do we need to round out the package? Do we realize that there's a lot about this, this, and this, but this is missing, right? So we're going to be kind of looking at your own vision board, right? You have your goal, you have your opportunity in mind. So have a look and see what you're already doing, what's already out there about you, and how that correlates or doesn't with your mission. So your task is kind of looking at your vibe, your colors, your inspiration, key vocabulary terms, experiences. So your past, right? What have you done? And how does that show up in your footprint, right? There might be, you might realize that actually a lot is being shown, but maybe not in the way that you want. And so you might want to change that. Maybe the images that you were using in the past no longer serve you. Maybe they're not high quality images, but now you know better. And so you're going to fix that. You're going to make it more clear, more in line with your vision, right? So it's going to be a little bit of time for you now. So I'll kind of flick over here, but it's going to be a little time for you to workshop this. This is just a little overview that I did myself when I look at my own vibe, my own work, and I'm thinking about those keywords. I'm thinking about my approach. I'm thinking about the footprint that I want to create for myself, right? What is it that's important to me? Well, my enthusiasm is up there, right? That's something that I can't get away from. So if I'm thinking about how best to support myself, I'm thinking about that high quality content, but I can get in my own way. I can really over talk and overthink. And so sometimes I need to step back and simplify, right? So I'm learning from what I'm seeing on myself, and I'm kind of making those adjustments, right? Simplifying the language. If I want a gallerist to read something, I have to make it really simple, actually. I shouldn't be too wordy, right? I want to really bring it back to a relatable point. A lot of what we are looking for in our footprint is relatable, authenticity, a clear message, right? If you don't show yourself or your personality or your intent in a clear way, it's going to be very hard for you to be open to the opportunities that are going to serve you, right? So that was a bit the presentation part. And then we're going to be going into a little time where you will have some time and space to workshop this. So looking at your own content, thinking about what's important to you, thinking very specifically today about your audience, about that goal. Who is it that you want to attract?